Today's episode is brought to you by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be contacted with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. And be sure to include the wrestling realm in How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just going to keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Keeping it on 100. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. This show, of course, is brought to you by the Wrestling Realm. If you haven't done so, go ahead, hit the subscribe button right now. Tell your friends about it. And then if you want to go ahead and support the show, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Wrestling Realm. There you can support us. And, you know, this is our 10th year. We trying to do some cool things, so we appreciate those who have done so. Folks, I don't even know what to say. As today, we're going to discuss Kenny Omega is getting set to challenge for the unified Impact Wrestling Championship. There's been a story, and I will admit I do not follow Impact as much as some people, but there has been this story with him and Rich Swann. He's the champion, and then you have Moose, who is the TNA champion, and right now you have to decide who's going to be the champion, right? Who's going to be the Impact World Champion? So as they sitting here, last night it was announced or I should say Tuesday night, it was announced that they will have a unification match. So, all right, that's cool, right? You got unification match. We see that WWE has a black champion. Impact has had a black champion for a while now. And then Moose has, got the TNA championship, and he's claiming that he's the top guy in the company. So for the first time, we already saw Rich Swann versus Chris Bay. And now we're going to get Rich Swann and Moose, and this is going to be a big deal because you got two black men vying for the world championship. So that's cool, right? But then, yes, Kenny Omega, the AEW World Champion, they made it known that, guess what? You guys, whoever wins will face Kenny Omega in a title versus title match. Why? Why would you do that? As I'm sitting here and I'm wondering, like, why in the world would you do that? That makes no sense at all, right? So here's my issue. This AEW Impact Wrestling partnership is supposed to be a big deal, right? Kenny Omega wins the championship. As soon as he wins, he says, all right, I'm going to Impact. I'm taking the title over there, and now everybody's excited, right? Here's this opportunity, this big thing. And I saw some people say, look, it's not AEW's job to really pull up Impact. We all know they're the number 2 company instantly because of the resources, the TV channels. They're on TNT. And because of that, it's very hard for me to believe that it is possible that Rich Swann or Moose will walk away with the AEW championship. I said from the beginning, when this all started, that you don't get Kenny Omega. He goes over to AEW and he's really big boying, right? He's the big brother. He's punking him around. Shout out to my boy 2 Chams and Miranda. I was looking at the Big Gold Belt podcast. They did their Impact review, and Two Champs made a point. He said, "Look, it looks like the big brother your mother tells both of you to do chores, and the big brother's like, no, I'm not doing it." So I look at Kenny Omega going over there, and I'm like, really, dude? From day one, that was the issue I saw, right? If this supposed to be some sort of partnership, he's going over there. I felt he was going to legitimize the brand. But I don't really see, I've never, and maybe I missed this, but I haven't seen Moose or Rich Swann on AEW television. So you mean to tell me that I'm supposed to believe that two guys who has never even appeared on AEW television in a big way is going to really walk out of there as champion? Like, I just don't understand this. Now, to their point, they brought up the idea that it could be the best way would be for Don Callis to turn on Kenny Omega. He's going saying, like, that's his nephew, and all this, that, and the other. So I'm like, all right, that could happen. But it also could be a no contest. And I think a lot of people on Twitter are saying that's the way to go. You could also have, Omega could win the championship, and then, he's going to be having all the belts. I saw somebody post on Twitter by the end of the year, Omega's going to look like the Ultimo Dragon. But what I'm really trying to understand is, why is this guy going to why are they even doing this? It makes no sense. It makes no sense to me at all. Absolutely no sense. I'm thinking, like, why would Kenny Omega, like, to me, it's killing the business. It's killing the business, folks. The Young Bucks wrote a book called Killing the Business. And that's exactly what that's doing. You mean to tell me that, because they don't look equal. Let's call it for what it is. If Ring of Honor and Impact would have came together, sure. Even if New Japan and AEW would have worked together in this capacity, I would see that looking like, okay, a partnership. But this right here, from day one, yeah, sure, Private Party has gotten some wins. But to me, it just always looked like it's AEW and it's Impact. So I'm supposed to believe that the Impact Wrestling Champion or the TNA Impact Heavyweight Champion is going to leapfrog Kenny Omega, somebody who I'm supposed to believe that is the best wrestler in the world. I'm supposed to believe this guy is the future. He's the guy that they put their title on. And he beat Jon Moxley, who beat Chris Jericho, right? Now, I'm an Omega fan. I've been, vouching. This is the guy I want to see. But let's call it for what it is. Rich Swann, Moose, the way they're being presented in this whole dynamic, they don't look like they're on their level. And I'm not talking about skills. I'm talking strictly about the way they are being presented, the presentation. So that's the issue I have here. It makes no sense at all to me. Somebody make it make sense. Make this partnership make sense. And I see the only way this really turning out is if there is a I don't want to a no contest. But then why would you put that on a pay-per-view? And it really seems like, like I said, going back to TV deals, Impact Wrestling isn't on a major network. So because they're not on a major network, why would you even bring, it doesn't work. But AEW, how I'm supposed to believe that they're going to sell TNT advertisers with Rich Swann as their champion, a guy who they're not even putting on AEW Dark, let alone AEW TV, or even Moose, a guy who they're not putting on AEW Dark or AEW TV. How am I supposed to believe that this guy's going to win the title? Let's just think about this. They're not on their TV shows. So, like I said, keeping it 100, I think Kenny Omega is set to destroy Impact Wrestling. And, I think this is unfortunate because it's supposed to be, looked at with this big partnership deal. And, like I said before, see a Tony Khan going over there and talking about, okay, pretty much killing Impact Wrestling and bragging about, spending his money on commercial time. It makes no sense to me. So, but that'll do it, folks, as I get out of here. I appreciate each and every one of you listening, tuning in, watching. If you're on the podcast, you tuning in. Just want to remind y'all, go ahead, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling Realm. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube right here. Turn on the bell notification. If you're listening on your cars or your pods, we appreciate that too. But, help us out. Help us reach 1,000 followers. But also, if you're a podcaster, we got you covered, obviously. Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora Podcast. Yes, we are there. And if you're a podcaster and you want to get a deal with Podgo, hit me up. Or just go ahead and subscribe. Sign up and make sure you said the Wrestling Realm sent you. But until next time, folks, I'm Brian H. Waters, and I'm out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. As always, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. That way you are notified every time we post new content. And make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Wrestling Realm. And follow me too at Brian H. Waters.